Hello, welcome class to Module 4, Business Buying Behavior. Who buys, why they buy, and how organizations make purchasing decisions. So this is the other side of the marketing process where businesses are involved instead of the individual buyer. Before we begin, we want to make the distinction between the business to business markets and the business to consumer markets. So B2B stands for business to business and B2C stands for business to consumer. So in business to business markets, these are either large businesses or any businesses, governments or institutions, and these buyers purchase between other businesses and other governments or other institutions. There are fewer purchases but larger buyers. They buy in bulk, such as your school right now, Santiago Canyon College, or the school that you're going to right now, full time. They would be purchasing different supplies from either Office Depot, or maybe they purchase it from Apple or HP. Those are the types of bulk purchases they would make. These purchases are very carefully planned. There's many people involved in the decision-making process. It's not just one person who decides that, oh, Santiago Canyon College needs new computers. It's a process where somebody sees what is needed, and then the process moves forward from that to different departments of the business and to different individuals. Relationships and contracts really do matter with these types of transactions. If you want to keep a certain vendor from moving to another business to make their purchases, you need to make sure that your relationships are kept in good standing and that you keep in contact with that business that's purchasing from you. Now, on the other hand, B2C or business to consumer markets, these are individual consumers. This is you, myself, and all other people within the population. There's millions of buyers. There's not just one person. Usually, impulse or emotional buying are common, which means if I'm happy, maybe I'll go out and purchase something really expensive for myself. If I'm sad, maybe I need to get some ice cream, or maybe I just don't want to shop at all. There's usually one decision maker. And if you are in a family group, of course, there's either one or two main decision makers, but there's others that are also involved in that buying process. But usually it's only one or two people. Brand image and price drive the choices with B2C purchases. This means that most of the time, you and I, when we go out to purchase our products, maybe you're an athlete and you want to purchase a certain kind of shoe. Think about Nike. As an individual buyer, you purchase that because you think, oh, the Nike products are going to make me do better as an athlete. Also, price drive choices. During this economy, a lot of purchasing is being either decreased due to the economy around us. Look at gas prices are going really high. So maybe people are not really going on their long vacation road trips. Maybe they're thinking of another way to take vacations. So at the bottom, it says think. Nike sells to you, which is business to consumer, but then it can sell a bulk inventory to Dick's Sporting Goods, which is business to business. There are 6 characteristics of business markets. There's derived demand, which stems from consumer demand. When consumers buy more cars, steel manufacturers sell more steel. Inelastic demand is when price changes rarely affect total demand, and manufacturers need raw materials regardless of cost fluctuations. So this would be most likely in our grocery stores. Yes, the prices do fluctuate, but not in a high level. Unfortunately, during our economy, we see that some products are increasing in price and the changes are sometimes on the spot. So it really depends on economy with inelastic demand. Fluctuating demand is, of course, with the economy. Small consumer shifts create big B2B swings. A 5% drop in car sales can cut steel orders by 25% or more. And this was seen in 2020 when everyone was not going anywhere and people weren't purchasing cars. Then there's few large buyers. Concentrated purchasing power. A handful of large companies may account for most of a supplier's revenue. So let's think of our weapons manufacturers. There's only a handful of those large companies within our country that supply weapons either to our safe first responders, our military, and those companies account for most of the supplier's revenue. Close supplier relationships, we talked about this. It's really important for long-term partnerships to remain in good standing. Trust, contracts, and loyalty define B2B supplier relationships over time. Geographic concentration. Industries cluster in specific regions. For example, Silicon Valley is known for technology, Detroit for automobiles, and Wall Street for finance. Industry classification. So NAICS is the North American Industry Classification System. This is a standardized code used by the US, Canada, and Mexico to classify industries. As you can see in the pyramid right here, if it's a national industry, it'll have 6 digits. An entire industry would only have 5 digits, and so on. Industry group, 4 digits, subsector, 3 digits, and then a sector would be 2 digits. This helps marketers identify potential B2B customers by industry and pinpoint entire sectors for targeted outreach, analysis, and campaign planning. Modernized to replace the old SIC Standard Industrial Classification System in 1997. It's been modernized to reflect the growing service, economy, and cross-border trade in North America. This is also used by the U.S. Census Bureau and businesses to analyze market size. So it enables companies to benchmark growth, track competitors, and size untapped B2B markets. There are also 3 types of business buying situations. So understanding how and when businesses make purchasing decisions. This will help you to know what type of buying situation you will be in if you choose to work in a B2B market or market in a B2B market. So our first step is the straight rebuy, which is a routine reorder of the same product with no new evaluation needed. The buyer simply repeats the previous order. It's fast, automatic, and low effort. So they have placed examples like office paper, cleaning supplies, printer, ink, cartridges. And this has low complexity. It's very easy. It's like they have the invoice ready. It's routine, no complex process. Then you have the step 2, which is the modified rebuy. It's same product category, but something has changed. Maybe specifications, maybe the pricing has changed, or maybe even the supplier. And this requires some research and evaluation before reordering. Maybe Santiago Canyon College wants to switch from using Apple devices to HP devices, or maybe they want Samsung computers instead of HP computers. So in order to make this purchase, there is medium complexity, so there will be more people involved in this buying process. Excuse me. Step 3 is the new task buy. So this is buying something completely new. And the full research cycle is implemented in this stage of, in this situation, buying situation. There's a committee, you compare vendors, they send in proposals, and then you need to have formal approval from executives. So their example is a hospital buying an MRI machine for the first time. This can also be whether or not they're going to build an extension or a new building on Santiago Canyon College. Our discussion question is, which type of buying situation takes the longest to complete? I'll leave that to you to think about it. It's pretty straightforward. And then what makes the decision more complex? Is it the product that they're purchasing, the people that are involved in the purchasing process, or both? So think about it. If you are purchasing printers from HP, but these are new printers, so it's a new task buy. You've switched from a certain printer to a different printer. There's going to be a lot of people involved. These people have to be gathered. The committee has to be made. You have to talk with vendors, get estimates, proposals, and then you have to send your proposal and get formal approval from your executive directors. So if you were to think about this question, what makes the decision more complex? The product, the people involved, or both? And there's no right or wrong answer. It always depends on what is the product that you're purchasing and which type of buying situation are you in. The buying center has 6 key roles. Most B2B purchases involve multiple people, not just one decision maker, as we said in the first slide. So we have our initiators who identify the need, which could be a manager that notices equipment is broken and flags the issue first. Then there's the users, who may be the frontline workers. Maybe a cash register is not working, and all of these cash registers are just not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So let's say the cashier tells their manager, hey, I think we should update our equipment because we're just slowing down the process. Then we have the influencers who shape the criteria or technical specs, which are engineers or IT staff defining requirements. So if Santiago Canyon College is going to purchase computers, our influencers would be our IT department, who define what type of security requirements do we need, what type of accessibility requirements do we need for these products, all of that. Then we have our buyers, who have formal authority after they've been sent these requests. It's gone through the buying process, and they have the formal authority to select the vendor, negotiate terms, and manage purchasing contracts. These are the people who are face-to-face with those buyers or businesses that you are trying to purchase your product from. Or we'll go back to our example of buying computers at Santiago Canyon College. Our buyers will go to either HP, Apple, or any other vendor, any other computer vendor, negotiate the terms for a bulk purchase, and then manage the purchasing contracts. The deciders, they have the final say on the purchase decision. And this is usually senior leadership or C-suite executives. So in a corporation, it would be your CEOs, your CFO, and your COOs. But within the Santiago Canyon College, we'll go back to our computer example. That would be either the president or the head of the finance department, the head of the executive leadership department. Those are all the ones that would make the decision. The gatekeepers control access to decision makers. These are your administrative assistants or procurement portals screening vendors. So the administrative assistant of our president will take these proposals, let's say from the IT department, and they'll review it. It can either go through or it may not go through, depending on their how they work and how fast they work, and the relationship you build with those administrative assistants. So in complex B2B purchases, one person can hold multiple roles simultaneously. Keep that in mind. So a user can also be an initiator, and they can also be a gatekeeper. Any of these roles can be combined. So we're going to go back to our discussion about computers for Santiago Canyon College. Your school needs to purchase 200 new Chromebooks. Who in your school would play each buying center role? Initiator, user, influencer, buyer, decider, and gatekeeper. You don't have to get into a group for this, but think about it. And then when you think about it, just write it down. Who is the initiator of this purchase? Remember, the initiator is the one who sees where the problem is. Oh, we need 200 new Chromebooks. The user is the one that's using the Chromebooks. Influencer would be the IT department, right? And then the buyer is our purchasing department or our finance department. The decider is our executive leadership. And then the gatekeeper would be all of those that pass along this information to higher levels for decision making. Factors that shape business buying decisions. There's environmental factors, which is our economy right now does affect B2B buying, because if, for example, I'll make the example of tuition in colleges. If the tuition is too high and people are not able to afford going to college, there won't be a lot of people registering or applying to go to college. This can and will affect the economic conditions of the college itself. So then maybe we did want to purchase 200 Chromebooks, but unfortunately, because of our the amount of people that are going to our school is not meeting what we've budgeted, then our budgets will decrease throughout the school. So if there's not a lot of students going to colleges, any college, it doesn't have to be Santiago Canyon College. If there's not a lot of students or people deciding to go to college, then the colleges will not only will they decide whether or not their um, tuitions will decrease, or maybe they'll decrease across the college itself. Supply chain disruptions and resource availability. So during, I believe it was 2024, yes, the beginning of 2024, when our President Trump decided to make different types of tariffs, that disrupted a lot of supply chain movement of their products. So that also goes into the government regulations and trade policies. So if these environmental factors are interrupting your logistics or purchasing buying decisions, business buying decisions, then it could make or break your plans to either increase the purchasing or decrease. Organizational factors, your company goals, strategy, and internal policies, budget constraints and spending authority, and procurement procedures and approval workflows. So if you have a very intricate approval workflow where it goes, the person who sees the problem and then has to go through multiple steps of approval, that would take longer for your business or your organization to move through the buying process. Interpersonal factors are very important. So working with a buyer and seller, you need to create trust and rapport between your seller or buyer from your organization as well. Internal policies and competing agendas. Group dynamics within the buying center. Individual factors is personal risk tolerance and decision-making style, decision-makers' experience and expertise, and career incentives and professional reputation. Here is the business buying process. So as you know, I've been talking about business buying process this, buying process this. This is the entire 8-stage business buying process. So the first step is your problem recognition. You identify a need or opportunity within the organization. We need a new supplier for packaging materials. General need. Number 2 is general need. Define what is needed, quantity, quality, and specs, which is specifications. We need 5,000 units per month, food grade approved. Then product specifications, set precise technical requirements for the product. This is where your engineering and IT department to help out with the product criteria. Then we do a supplier research, find and evaluate potential vendors in the market. You look for trade directories, referrals, online portals, proposal solicitation, request quotes or formal proposals, RFPs from vendors, a formal bid document, supplier selection, choose the vendor based on defined criteria, and this can be scored on price, quality, reliability, and reputation. And then order routine specification, finalize order details, delivery schedule, payment terms. Purchase orders are happening right now, contracts and logistics are locked in. Then there is the final step, which is performance review. Even though you've already made the purchase, we have the 200 Chromebooks, we still have to make sure that everything, the buying process, every step was done in a good, throughout the process, effectively, efficiently, and did the supplier deliver on their promises? How is technology transforming B2B buying? So digital tools have dramatically changed how businesses buy and sell. So we have e-procurement. So instead of writing out a order, you have automatic portals where you can enter in the amount of products that you need to buy. Then you have the B2B e-commerce, which includes Amazon Business. These are businesses buying and selling via online portals. Now, e-procurement are also online portals, but they're mostly platforms that you either have to register for or buy subscriptions to. Then we have our data analytics, which really helps to provide evidence-based purchasing on any decision making that the organization does. AI and automation. AI predicts demand, flags pricing anomalies, and recommends vendors. And this reduces a lot of the manual work that procurement has to do. Then we have the supply chain integration, real-time connection between buyer and supplier systems, EDI or ERP, which streamlining the entire order life cycle. So you can see how the product was ordered, um, where it is within the buying process. Global B2B commerce exceeded $18 trillion in 2024. Now we're going to apply a real-world B2B scenario. A local restaurant chain, which has 50 locations, needs to choose a new food distributor. Their current supplier has had repeated delivery issues, late shipments, wrong orders, and damaged goods, putting their kitchens at risk. So the problem, you've identified the problem. There's a supplier reliability failure. So you need to change your vendor. So that would be a new task buy. So I'll let you work through this. You're going to list the buying process stages going by your scenario here. And then you're going to identify the buying center roles, who's involved in this, and then analyze key influencing factors. What environmental, organizational, or interpersonal factors might shape or complicate this distributor decision? So for this real world B2B scenario, you will be able to get 2 points extra credit for this slide number 11. If you answer each individual question completely in an email to me, and the subject should read Module 4 Real World B2B Scenario. And then I'll review it, and then you may get to add on 2 points extra credit. And finally, we come up with everything that you should be able to identify within Module 4. So B2B markets involve fewer larger buyers with more complex purchasing processes than B2C. NAICS codes classify industries and help marketers identify and target business customers. You need to know the 3 buying situation, the buying center, which with the 6 roles: initiator, user, influencer, buyer, decider, and gatekeeper. And then business buying is shaped by environmental, organizational, interpersonal, and individual factors. So you need to know the influencing factors, and then see where tech and e-procurement come in handy when using it in today's digital market. And that is the end of our Module 4. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll see you again.